Hello and welcome to Hikima Council's Makala podcast. Makala means branches ka Sesotho, and on this podcast, we hope to journey with you hand in hand like the branches of a tree. My name is Amanda Masondo and I'm your host. We hope this podcast finds a way to impact, educate, and inspire your next. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Buzzsprout, basically everywhere where you find your podcast fix, every first and last Friday of every month. Hello and welcome to Hikima Council's Makala podcast. I am your humble host, Amanda Masondo. And as per usual, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Please be part of the evolution. Don't be late. If you click the little bell on the side, it tells you immediately every time the podcast drops. So please, guys, be on top of it. And thank you so much to the almost 15,000 subscribers. Batong, Luna, love you so much. Thank you guys so much. As per usual, leave a comment as well. We like positive feedback. My next guest wants to hear that you are so inspired by his story and then you want to hear more. So please, guys, drop us a comment. My guest today, I'm very excited. Why are you nervous? Don't be nervous. This is a sweet conversation with an old friend that you haven't seen in 5 years.
Yeah.
My guest today is the founder and CEO of GraceNineteen. His name is Ndaedzo Madume. Hello, sir.
Hi, Amanda. Yeah.
Welcome.
No, thank you.
Fantastic stuff. Obviously, you were not always an entrepreneur. It all starts somewhere. Give us a little bit of your background. Where were you born and raised?
Okay, so I come from Limpopo. I grew up in Venda.
Yes.
Spent most of my life that side. Actually, I think the first time I got out of Limpopo was when I was going to UCT for my first year.
That was the first time you left Limpopo?
Yes.
The whole time you were there, high school, primary school?
Exactly, but a very interesting background. So I come from a very entrepreneurial family.
Okay.
My mom's side of the family,
Yes.
right? But then it was also balanced by my daddy's side of the family. So on my daddy's side of the family, they encouraged us to go to school, and they were more nicer to us. You showed you love and all that. On my mom's side of the family, you had to work.
Okay.
So they made it a requirement that you needed to know how to create something with your hands, right?
Okay.
So most of my uncles, actually, they never had jobs. Most of their lives were around creating businesses and all that with their hands, because also they didn't have like formal education.
Yes.
And so I think that was maybe the beginning of my inspiration. But my mom also started like a few businesses herself, which some were successful, some not very successful. That was mostly my background growing up. And my brother, I think, also inspired me a lot in the journey. So I actually used to work for him.
Okay.
So when my brother finished high school, he said that he's not going to university.
Okay.
And then I was like, so what's your plan?
What's the plan
He
here?
said, no, because I want to start a business. She said, where are you going to get the money? He said, no, I'm going to go find a job.
Yeah.
I'm going to work, save money, and use the money to build the business.
Yes.
And we thought he was joking. So they drove him to Joburg. He came back the following day, literally did what he said he was going to do, found a job, worked, saved money. But he was also like curious. So he read, he always looked for information.
Yes.
And all. So did like a lot of research and started his business. And I used to work for him. If my brother's business was as successful as he wanted it to be, I don't think I was going to go to university too. I was probably going to be working for him even now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That is very interesting. So entrepreneurship, you're the one person that can actually say it's in my blood.
Well, I was also like very good with school. So
Yes.
I would, I think, it's all I knew growing up.
Yes.
Let me say it's all I knew growing up.
I think you had the option of picking which journey, because school you can continue with school.
Correct,
then entrepreneurship is also made available to you because it's something that is insisted upon.
Correct, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then, but what do we study in varsity?
So then I did my my undergrad at UCT. So I did finance and economics undergrad. And then I did my honors in finance at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. So my friends always say I should emphasize and always mention UKZN. So I hope they're happy now.
Absolutely.
So, but yes,
as a Zulu,
I did
we are very happy.
Yeah, so I did my honors at UKZN, and then I think then later I did my masters in finance at UCT. So
okay, all right.
Yeah.
So at that point, you are in varsity. Do you have an idea of what you want to do? Is it right now you're still battling with entrepreneurship or going to corporate? What's happening? What's happening? What's your thought process?
Now, honestly speaking, like that's actually interesting because at varsity, like starting a business was never like
part of it.
Yeah, like I was just enjoying my time at varsity, but I was also lucky because I had a very good mentor.
Yes.
So Investec started sponsoring me, I think in my first year, later in my first year, and then that bursary came with a mentor.
Okay.
So my mentor was very intentional about mentoring me, like what she wanted me to master by the time I got out of varsity. She didn't want me to just be good with school and all that. So during like school holidays, she would organize for me to go to the Investec Cape Town offices. So I would learn like how to like do certain things within the asset management space and wealth management space. And so by the time I got out of varsity, I had a fair understanding of what wealth management was about, asset management was about, what do they do in the trading floor. So I think that's what she wanted me to understand. And then I think if anything, I was literally like prepared to be a banker when I worked out of varsity. I was literally like prepared to be a banker. And
your parents were like, yes, this is it. They're seeing your name in lights, banker, stable, stability.
Yeah, when I grew up, they want my sister thought I was gonna be a doctor, a medical doctor. But I don't know, like I just loved my commercial stuff. So,
Okay. So then when does it all switch up? When does then entrepreneurship enter and return to your foray now?
So finishing off varsity, so I started R&B. So I was in the derivatives underwriting desk. Actually, my dream was to be an equity derivatives trader. Okay. So I start in the bank, and I was really like having a good time. And I was also lucky. So my first job was, the R&B is like a big company, but the team I worked in, we were like a startup inside a big organization. So I think I enjoyed that a lot. So when I was there, I was not even thinking of like starting a business or anything. I was just having fun. And then in my second year of working, so the business idea for GraceNineteen came right after my honors. Okay. But I just got an offer from the bank, and the money was good. And
you were just like, pack this idea.
I tell my mentor about it in my second year of work. So I go to Cape Town. I said, I have this business idea. Like, this is what I want to do. And then she said, no, you're still young. So she literally said I was still young at the time to build like something like that the way I wanted it to be. I needed relationships, and I needed to know a lot of people. So she advised me to just focus on my banking while I build my relationships. And when the time is right, maybe I'll feel it, and then I'll switch. So I continued being a banker. Joined it after 2.5 years in the derivatives underwriting desk. Then I joined market risk. So when I was in market risk, I was supposed to go to the trading desk, but that opportunity didn't materialize. And I kind of got bored a little bit. So then that's when I went back to UCT to do a master's in corporate finance and valuations. When I was there, that's when I started like...
You're getting...
the
nudge was getting a little bit more intense.
I decided that I don't want to be a banker maybe anymore at that time. So I had like a few options that I was considering, and one of those options was to build the business. Then going back to my mentor and say, I want to build that business I told you about.
That we spoke about.
Then she said, okay, let me call like a few CEOs that I know, in the Cape Town area, and just get their thoughts, right? So she makes like a few calls. It's like, hey, look, I'm getting like really great feedback, but I organized a meeting for us with a CEO of one of the asset management businesses in Cape Town. So let's go, and then you pitch to him, and then I sit, I make notes. So we go together, and then she's pitching, and then I'm pitching, and then
she's making notes.
She's making notes, and then we take the feedback, and then after that meeting, we consolidate, and then she's like, "So, what do you think?" I was like, I think I want to do it. Yeah.
And what was the case perception of your pitch?
The first one, actually, he said that I still had a lot of work to do.
Okay.
To make it a real business.
Okay.
So at the time, it's like, it's a great idea,
I
but
hear
you
you.
still have a lot
Yeah.
of work to do.
Okay.
And it's not going to be like an easy business to execute.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then, I think that's when I started switching and I started paying attention to the business. Then I come to Joburg for an event. I was invited as a guest speaker in one of the events. On our way back, I was driving back with one of the guys back to my hotel. He was very senior in one of the investment banks in South Africa. So
Yes.
I said to him, hey, look, like, I might not be a banker anymore, like
Yes.
in a few months,
In a few
because
months.
I'm considering, do you think that you can link me with the former CEO of your bank and I can just chat to him? So I actually go and then I chat to him. I was like, hey, I've got this business idea. I just want you to tell me if I'm crazy or not. Like,
Yes.
so the guy was very senior. He
Yes.
said, you're not crazy, but just try to avoid the banking regulation for now. And then that was some sort of like a confirmation for me. And then the following day, I met the guy who was CEO at the time. And then he connected me to one of my co-founders, Dr. Darren Brandon. And that's when like the switch completely happened. From that day onwards, I just
You knew that you were
going here.
you're serving your notice as a banker. And
Well, well, except for COVID, that delayed me by a year, but yeah.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. I wanted to touch on then you actually have a lived experience of mentorship. And
Correct,
it actually working out for you.
Yeah,
A lot of people that have sat where you have sat have always mentioned the need for you to seek out that kind of person.
Correct, yeah.
You obviously got an opportunity and you got lucky, but what would you say to entrepreneurs about that journey and about how far it took you with that, having that mentor? Because that mentor wasn't banking, and yet then you arrived and you're like, but I don't want banking.
Yeah, I would say that it's obviously critical to have a mentor in your life, but most people battle to build like mentorship relationships that are impactful.
Yeah.
It could be about their career, like in corporate, or their
Yes.
career in as an entrepreneur and all that. So yeah, I think what I would say is, just have conversations, like, have conversations with your mentor, with everyone. And then as you're having conversations, someone is going to make you aware of something. For an example, actually, I find this to be very interesting on my switch, right? To your other question about the switch.
Yeah.
So when I was in the derivatives underwriting desk, like I said, my dream was to be a trader, right?
Yes.
So then there was an opportunity in the trading floor. So I connect with the head of that division to say, can we have coffee?
Yes.
When we actually went to sit for, he's like, no, let's go for coffee outside the office space. So when we actually went to sit for coffee, I was like, yeah. So we walk in and then, they're greeting him. And I was like, no, why do they greet you like they know? It's like, no, it's because, I own part of this brand and all that. So yeah. And then I was like, oh, okay. So can you tell me a little bit more about, about that? And so he started like sharing with me his journey as an angel investor in startup businesses, like the businesses that he has invested in,
Yes.
the ones that were successful, the ones that were not very successful. But what I found most interesting was I actually stopped talking to him about the job. Like, I know we were here about the job, but scrap that.
Yeah.
We literally started having, like every second week we'll go and we catch
And
up.
have
And he's
coffee.
educating
Yes,
me
yes.
about the startup industry, he's educating me about the business instead of the job. So, yeah, so
So you were already putting things in place whenever for you.
without even knowing,
No, yeah.
actually. Yeah.
That is amazing. That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
amazing. Okay. Let's talk about that now. Now you have, what was your vision for this business? For me, this is now where the elevator pitch comes in.
Yes,
Where
yes.
you're now telling somebody who's never heard of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And who's like, GraceNineteen, what is
Yeah.
that about?
Yeah.
What would you say was your vision and what you wanted to accomplish with the business? And do you feel like you are on course still?
Yeah, so my vision with the business was to build investments and lending solutions in the residential rental space in the country.
Okay.
But not only maybe just doing that. It was, get someone, help them with your financial products for that person to enter into their first rental property, continue to support them with this financial product until they become a first-time homeowner.
Okay.
And once they become a first-time homeowner, you continue to offer them your solutions until they maybe like buy a bigger property, then they rent out the old one, so they become like a landlord and also. So you sort of like take someone from being a tenant to being a property investor. So that's actually like what I wanted to build. And in terms of where we are, so I would say we have done the first 2 products, which have launched, and then we're seeing like good traction with them. And then the future home buyer product, which is the one that prepares people for buying properties and all that. So we have not yet launched that. So I would say we are on course, and as soon as we also like launch the other one, then I would say maybe we'll be like completely on course. On the
okay.
road,
So talk me through it. I am a prospective client.
Yes.
I am looking for a place to stay.
Yes.
When I click onto the Grace19 website, what am I seeing? What do I need to do? What do I need to understand as I'm opening the homepage? I don't know what you're about, by the way. I'm just clicking in and I'm saying, okay, I don't know. I love this apartment.
Yes.
But I don't have the money right now. I've got a new job, for instance.
Yeah. So when we built the maybe like also it would be something for entrepreneurs to maybe learn. So when we initially built the business, so the first product that we built was the deposit investment product, which was literally based on my experience as a tenant, right?
Okay.
So when I was renting, when I rented my property, my first renter actually when I was doing honors. So my landlord took some money out of my renter deposit. He said he was going to, clean my room and do whatever. Whether it was right or wrong, to me it felt like he was being unfair, right, with the amount that he took out of my renter deposit. Then I rent another property in Centum. This time when I left, my landlord said they were having financial issues, so they're not able to refund my renter deposit at that point in time.
Okay.
I was like, no, it's fine. They were nice people to me. So I'm like, it's okay. So when you guys have the money, you can...
You'll send it to me.
Yeah, so you can give me the money. But I got lucky. 3 days later, I read an article on the Renter Housing Act that says when a landlord receives a renter deposit, they're supposed to open a separate investment account and invest that money. And that was when the whole thing like started kicking in to say... So if landlords have to open separate investment accounts to invest renter deposits, why do they have to do that, right? Obviously, the regulation is trying to protect the tenants, because if you are a landlord and then I'm a tenant, I give you my 20,000 rent deposit, you put it in your own personal bank account. Chances are you might use it, right?
Definitely, I'm going to use it. Yes.
Exactly. So the regulation is just trying to make sure that landlords don't use tenants' renter deposits for things that are outside the lease agreement and all that. So yeah, that was the original concept about the business, creating some sort of like an independent renter deposit management institution, where renter deposit can be invested in such a way that landlords cannot access those renter deposits outside the purpose of that renter deposit, and also tenants can feel like secure. There can also be like transparency around where the money is sitting, how much interest it's earning, and all that. So yeah, and then mostly like for the private market, which are like individual landlords and individual tenants. And then when we actually launched, then we started having conversations. When we started having conversations with also like institutional property managers and real estate agencies and all that, they're like, we know you built this for the private landlords and the private tenants, but there's also like a use case for us. So for an example, the PPRA requires us to open segregated investment accounts and invest the tenant's rental deposit. It can be admin intensive, audit fees and all those kind of things. But if we just plug into your solution, we don't even have to worry about those kind of things. So you save us time, you create efficiency and all that. So yeah, and then that's when we also realized that, okay, well, there's a use case for the institutional market, which if we didn't listen maybe to our clients,
we wouldn't have had that solution.
And then so I think the second piece that maybe someone would see when they open our website would be the renter deposit financing solution, where we pay for renter deposits on behalf of tenants and then they repay us on affordable monthly installments. Because you can imagine, like, well, I mean, here in around this area, when you wanna rent a property, maybe a deposit could be like 20,000 rand.
100%.
Even worse in Cape Town, where they ask you for 2 times deposit.
Yes.
So to come up with all that money, you know, upfront, especially if you're a graduate and all that, it becomes like a little bit difficult. So we sort of like take out the financial strain, and then we pay for your rental deposit, and then you repay us on small affordable installments. Yeah.
Okay. That I find very interesting. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
that is, that market that you've tapped into, top class.
Yeah, yeah.
I see many opportunities there. Okay, let's maybe go back. Now you are leaving this cushy job for entrepreneurship.
Yes, yes.
Talk me through that journey. Did you have to now have money saved up? What did you have to do for you to actually now bite the bullet and say, I'm ready now?
Okay.
What does that entail?
Actually, money was the last thing that I was thinking about, right? When I left. So when I left was like something just hit me, right? And like I couldn't, like, it was time to leave. So I just felt it, like it was time for me to leave. But I had like a bit of money that I had that I could use to sustain myself for a few months, but it ran out very quickly. So, I think I was too ambitious. In terms of how much money I needed to survive until we do the first capital raise.
Yes.
So my projection was, I'm gonna leave within 5 to 6 months. We're gonna have investors, and we're gonna start building the business, and I'll also have like a bit of money to cover my living expenses. I was wrong. So I was 10 months in, and still not having concluded the fundraising. So that was wrong. That was hard.
Okay.
So, but what I think what helped me to also sort of like kind of know what to expect when I was leaving my job was one of my co-founders, Dr. Darren Brandon. So when I left, he sat me down and he said, I just want to tell you what to expect, right? Yes. So you're going to run out of money. Yeah. People are going to say no. Yes. When you're pitching the business to them. You're probably going to struggle to raise capital. And also, like, you need to raise capital from the right... So you need to raise capital from the right sources with respect to where your business is, like the stage of your business, right? Okay, so for an example, like if you, like at that time I only had a PDF, which was my pitch deck, and then my Excel file, which was my model, and then now you want to raise money from people, without a product, and you just, but what he helped me with there was to say, like, don't be discouraged. When people start saying no, when you raise, sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with your business. Maybe they just don't see the opportunity, or maybe they've invested their money somewhere. Yes. Your job is to find like a person who's going to say yes. The person is going to see the opportunity, because not only that person will give you the money, but they'll also help you to build your business with their expertise, and they'll also introduce you to other people and all that. So that gave me like a bit of comfort that even when things was like a little bit tougher, as we were busy with the first capital raise, so I could keep going. So,
Sure. Okay, so 10 months of difficult times.
Why? And fun at the same time, like and like meeting like really interesting people, pitching the business to like a lot of interesting people, hearing like a lot of feedbacks about what you do, because that's actually what's important. Also, you want to know what different people are saying about what you're building, because it might be something that exists in your head, but maybe like no one.
In the practical sense, people are just like, what?
Yeah. So I think that for me was the fulfilling part of my journey.
Okay. Yeah. So what year was this now?
This is 2022.
2022.
Yeah.
So, but when do you leave corporate?
Second half of 2021, for which most of my last few months of 2021, I was just working on my pitch deck, working on the financial model. Like the financial model actually took us like a long time to perfect and all that. Also, like when you pitch and then someone says something, you always want to go back and fix and
Okay. But let's talk about the industry that you are tapping into. It's also an industry that was impacted harshly by COVID, right? Yes. It's an industry where people, both tenant and landlord, were at each other's throats because this one wants the money, but this one is no longer going to work. It's that kind of. So what was there? How was navigating starting up a business in that period?
Well, actually, I'm glad that COVID happened before we launched,
Yeah.
because I almost resigned in March 2020,
Yeah.
which was when the shutdown was happening.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm glad that I kind of waited it out until COVID settled. I mean, for the second half of 2021, COVID had started settling down.
Yes.
People were like, starting to go back to work. But the impact on the industry obviously was felt by everyone. But for us, the first 2 years was actually just building the business, building the technology,
Yes.
building the team and all that. It was we only started trading towards the end of our second year of launching the business. So we were slightly out of the COVID
Out of the woods,
pain.
yes. And what would you say, so right now, your sense of what the property industry is doing at the moment? I mean, I was reading a report just the other day, I think it was this week, that sectionals now are doing better than standalones for the first time since post-COVID. So the industry has definitely changed. The dynamics are changing. And while South Africans, I think we institutionally or historically have never been able to secure loans because people are either having very entrepreneurial jobs and then banks are just like, we're not going to give you a loan. I think, what are you seeing in the industry, and where do you see GraceNineteen plugging into that missing space? Yeah,
so if you look at the rates in the last, since maybe like the rates in the last 12 months or so the rates are quite high, and when the rates are high, usually it's a market where most people would rather rent than buy, and then now when the rates are starting to go down, so you can see there's a small increase in terms of like people buying properties,
appetite,
especially the first time buyers. So obviously at the moment with what we have or the products that we're offering, so we make most of our money from people that are renting, than people that are buying, because we have not launched the products that for people that are looking to buy the properties. But the phase that maybe like where we have been in, as much as maybe there might be a drive towards people like starting to buy more because the rates are dropping, but there's also like a lot of developments that are happening for rental properties, especially like in the I would say maybe in the social housing space. We're seeing like a lot of new developments happening in those areas. So there's still like enough opportunity, I think, for anyone to still play.
And
for
more.
us,
100%. I hear you. So maybe let's talk about how, even if it's not just, if you can speak as an entrepreneur on this end, the balancing of risk, right, and management and the finances and all of that in a time in which the economy is doing what it's doing and it's unsettled and it's volatile and things are causing things that are outside of your own control are actually affecting your business directly.
Well, for an early stage businesses, so you obviously impacted by things that are out of your control, and mostly, like things that are outside of your control, maybe like whatever is happening in the economy and all that. And also maybe like some of the things that you can control. Most importantly, you need to be funded all the time, right? Especially like, in the first like few years, you need to raise capital until you break even, which is maybe the phase where we're currently in. Like we've been like raising capital for the last 3 years or the last 2 years. And that's hard. I think I don't know how many times we've ran out of capital, right? So you sort of like, in terms of like the risk, so you sort of like also try to predict when your next capital raise is going to happen.
Where do we knock? Where are these doors? Because entrepreneurs are always sitting on this couch and saying that's the problem. There's very little doors and opportunities for us to knock on, and that's where the struggle is. So you're already losing before you've even started.
Well, I wouldn't say losing before you even started.
Said my words,
but so I think the part of the maybe like early mistakes that we kind of made when we started is that we were also speaking to institutional investors, right? We only had a deck and an Excel file, and we're already speaking to institutional investors. As much as they were willing to take some meetings with us and listen to what we want to do, and we were too early for them, right? So you want to knock at the right doors with respect to the stage of your business. So for an example, early stage, maybe like pre-revenue and all that, most of your support is most likely going to come from the angel investors, unless if like you're very lucky where you get like a corporate to support you in that phase. But what we saw on our side, most of our capital came from the angel investors at that point in time, which you obviously want to access as many investors as possible. I would say maybe for every, I don't know, like to get one investor, you probably need to reach out to like 20 or 15 or 10, whatever the number is. So getting the first investor, I think, is the hardest thing. But your early stage, pre-revenue, usually angel investors. And if you do like a good job with maybe like your first few investors, they can also introduce you to other potential investors who also then introduce you to other potential investors. So that helps. But obviously you need to be working hard, delivering what the investors are expecting, which is not always possible. We have seen it also on our side.
Yeah, in the time frames that they require.
Yeah, where we miss some of the key things that they were looking for in order to give us the next funding, and then you don't get the next funding. So yeah, but as you maybe like start to become post-revenue, then now you're sort of like sitting between the angel investors and the early stage funders. I found that to be very difficult. Yeah, like I think that's hard because the angel investors, you've sort of like accessed like your network is kind of like reaching the limit, but then at the same time the early stage funders are not really always early stage. You're still going and they'll tell you like, come to us when your revenue is like 200,000 rand or 300,000 rand a month and all that. So
that's not really the level of the business that you're at the moment.
Exactly. So yeah, sometimes to meet the requirements of the early stage funders, I think that's a bit difficult. But angel investors too early, maybe a mix of angels and institutional when you're post-revenue, and then as you start, having your product market fit and everything, maybe then you can get more support from the early stage funders or ESD funds.
Do you think that is sector related, where you're finding that there's that missing middle with regards to angel investors and what you were mentioning earlier on, or is it your sector, or do you think it's across entrepreneurship generally across all sectors where there is that little bit of a missing, where you are not quite start up because you've started, but you just need to get to the next stage of your startup journey?
Yeah, some industries, I think they're a bit better. They have like lots of grants available to them. Maybe like people like in agriculture, maybe the health industry and all that. Maybe like they might be able to access like a lot of grants, obviously grants also exist maybe for like the fintech space or the proptech space, which is the space where we are in. But you just have to keep knocking like on as many doors as possible,
until one
and
person
hope
says yes.
that at least one person says yes.
Okay. Let's talk about then, because you're in you said fintech space, which means technology is at the center of what you guys do.
Correct.
Let's talk about that and navigating technology. And I mean, we are bad-mouthed as to being the generation, or rather the country, that's not really tech savvy. We're not where we should be. We're not really catching up to the rest of the world. But I mean, we're trying. No?
Yeah. Sure. The tech space in our... I can speak to what we see on our side. In terms of technology, like a lot of people have smartphones nowadays, right? So it makes it maybe less difficult to offer services through technology, like as opposed to maybe in person or on a phone and all that. So you can reach out like a lot of people with a very small team. Also in South Africa, I think it's the same case where a lot of people have access to smartphones. Data, Wi-Fi is also becoming accessible, also like in public spaces and in the workspaces. So I think we are in a phase where we can do a lot through technology. Could be offering financial products, could be in the agriculture space or the health space. But I think we are. Obviously, you still have to build a technology that people can use.
Yeah, because we don't want to click onto your website and then
that's
the
not,
thumbnails are not thumbnailing.
yeah, that's not easy. So
Yeah.
so you want to build a technology with well, like good user experience,
Yeah.
but at the same time you want to build it in the most cost efficient way.
Yeah. And is that a possibility? I've heard those prices that they quote you guys to put this thing together.
Why? Okay, well, for us, maybe what we did was in the beginning we outsourced a bit of our technology. So we outsourced the back end, and then we built the front end, and then we slowly went back to rebuild the back end.
Okay.
It was like a little bit of an expensive way to do it, I guess. And people always ask me, is it better to outsource or should we build it ourselves? Honestly, like I don't have an answer because when you outsource, it might be a little bit more expensive compared to when you build in-house. But then if you're building in-house, it might take longer than you are required to be in the market and all that. But I think the tech space is maturing in the country. I mean, you can see with like other businesses that are currently operating, nowadays I can buy pub in the street using my card, right?
Yeah.
So you know what the guy said, Yoko, Eco can, you know, like other businesses that have enabled like
that kind
ability
of,
to So the tech, I think
it's coming along. They're
yeah,
not that
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Thank you, Gus. We're catching up. We're catching up. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Let's talk then maybe about now you are running a business.
Yeah.
And this means that you have people that are helping you put this together. Right?
Yeah.
You mentioned your some of your co-founders. You also have employees.
Yeah.
What level were you at corporate level? Did you have people that were reporting to you? Because I want to understand what then your relationship is then now having to be someone's actual boss. And how did you have to navigate that? And did you have any trouble with that?
Sure. The culture in my business is that we don't have a boss. So
you're all employees.
No, we kind of approach it as like colleagues or partners. But maybe first to your first question around what level like was I in corporate. So I didn't really like have a team in corporate. I would say maybe I was like managing a team of 10 people. Whatever. No, I didn't have that. Right.
Okay.
And then now, what I did when I was inside the bank was, as I work with different people, so I kind of spot like people with like very great talent in the bank, and maybe like not only the bank I was working in, also like within the social space and other industries. I could every time I speak to someone, like
picking up some nuggets.
And then I think that sort of like helped me to sort of like be lucky to get like great talent, especially at a senior level. And also maybe building the team. It's quite hard to build the team that you want in a startup because you're asking someone to leave their job. Like it's not an easy thing for anyone to do. So for an example, I always say that it took me 3 months to convince my CTO to come and join the business. So then now they're here. You have identified the people. They're here now. We all have to work, right? Well, someone obviously must lead and all that. But what I found interesting was that as we started building the technology, it was less about, I'm your boss, I'm this. So it was more about, okay, why are we doing what we're doing? So which is the sort of like approach we have taken that we still are used to this day. Like if we need to add a feature into a product, like most of my role has been around like maybe like being a product owner, driving maybe like the product journey and all that. For which most of it is driven by what the clients are saying or what we think we should be offering to the clients, and we iterate and then we come back, we speak to the guys. I think that makes it a lot easier for people to feel like someone is telling them to do something, like I'm your boss, you must do this. So I try to avoid that as much as possible. What also helps is to take them to meetings. So if I have like a meeting with a potential client, I do take my CTO with me. It's like, no, let's go together. So you sit there also, you hear what the client is saying, so that when we come back and then we say, okay, maybe this feature is not really working the best way to service the client. So then you know why.
From
you know why you're doing it. So that helps, I think. But yeah, I don't know, like maybe, okay, my COO has more experience in managing people than I have. Okay. That helps.
Yes.
She can do a lot of.
So you would say building a team, that's what is important as well. Building a team then that people can fill in the places where you are not that strong. You have people that can actually stand up in those gaps and fill in those gaps on your behalf.
Yeah, and giving people purpose maybe on, why are they here? Why are they doing this?
Why do they want to be a part of it?
Yeah. And also giving them their space to exercise their creativity. I think I enjoyed that the most, where we would say, guys, let's add this. This is why we're doing it. And then, maybe someone will go and think about it, come back with even better ways of doing it, or maybe a better ways of putting it and stuff. So creating that environment where people are not scared to exercise their creativity, where they feel like it's a safe space, I guess that helps a lot.
Okay. Let's dream a little bit. Talk about what you are seeing as the future in your business. When you think 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, what do you think it looks like?
Jeez, okay. Okay, that's...
maybe we're listing on the JSC. Maybe, it doesn't cost a thing to dream.
Well, obviously, you want to have a goal, maybe, in terms of... And with reference, maybe. For an example, personally, there are businesses in South Africa that I feel like they've been very success stories that I look up to. Okay. So for an example, if we talk about the best distribution models that maybe have existed in the country, maybe the ones that I know of, maybe it would be a Capitec story, it would be a Time Back story and all that. So my wish or my dream for GraceNineteen, I would say, is to get to that level, to maybe a Capitec level, to a Time Bank level, or but getting there, maybe obviously we're not a bank, not necessarily in terms of how big they are, how much money they make, but maybe in terms of how fast they've acquired the customers, how do they do it, so I think maybe those are businesses that I look up to, and I hope that maybe in the next 10, 20 years, we also become part of those success stories in the financial.
And how they've also managed to maintain their, I suppose, reputation as a business, but technically maybe even a startup, but they actually are gaining traction as a business and reputable and competing with the biggest and the best in the game.
You want to build a business that has got good reputation, credibility, especially if you are in the financial services industry. So for an example, with us, we were fortunate to also have partnerships with some established businesses. So for an example, when we collect our rental deposits, so we invest them with Investec Bank. So it gives people some level of comfort that we've partnered with Investec in terms of housing the renters. So it's a trusted institution, and also that also helps us to sort of overcome some of the trust and credibility issues. And also, I guess you also just want to maintain your reputation as a founder in the market. You want to try to be the best that you can, not only maybe your reputation, but also the reputation of those businesses that are associated with you. And
love that. Okay, let's talk about maybe some advice. Let's talk to entrepreneurs. Young entrepreneurs who are looking to make an impact in the financial sector. What would you say are things that, guys, if you can just have these three things, it is a start. Then you have something golden.
One thing that I would say maybe someone should have is relationships, at the highest level. I think, this is actually I have structured relationships for myself, maybe as a person, and also for the business. So this is well formulated by Apostle Joshua Salman. He says that as a person, you must have 4 categories of relationships, right? And then number one, you must have divine connectors, right?
Yes.
They can't help you,
Yeah.
but they know who's going to help you,
Okay.
right? So he said like that's very critical, right?
Got you.
And then number two, you must have people of influence, right? Because they're always willing to invest their credibility and resources to make you rise. So this could be like your investors and all that. And then number three, you must have gifted people. You want results, like you want a team that can execute. So, and then the last one is the burden bearers. So with the burden bearers, their job is not to move you forward. Their job is to make sure that you don't fall backward. And when I think about that, well, hence I say like maybe it's something that people should have like in life, is because when you are approaching someone or when you are meeting someone, right? So imagine I'm going to someone who, so if I keep wanting to raise capital from a person who's supposed to be my divine connect, they're going to be frustrated, right? So I'm going to the person for the wrong thing, right? So just having the ability to know who this person is, right? And then, you know, get them to get involved in your business within what they are, right? So that helps a lot, and it saves you like a lot of time, and it opens up like maybe like doors for you faster. And so I say maybe that's one. Two, I would say have the ability to learn and listen, right? So your clients usually are gonna show you where the value is on what you're building. Your clients are gonna guide, with the feedback that you're getting from your clients is gonna guide you in terms of where the strength of your product are, and then you can focus on those strengths when you maybe like put up your marketing collateral, and maybe when you are building the product. And then the third piece, what would I say? Sure. Yeah, so firstly I'll say relationship. Secondly, the ability to learn and listen. And then thirdly, I would say look after your investors. I don't know. So I think that's very critical, because if you don't catch up with your investors as frequently as you can, so they become detached from the business, and you know they can't keep track of, because they're busy also with their own thing, and you know then they can't. So it's not only the money that they give you; it's obviously also like the expertise and the other interactions, and also if you keep close with them and work on those relationships, also I think it helps. Maybe I would say that.
Okay. Entrepreneurship for you so far. Would you do it all again?
Would I do it all again? So the person that I've become, right? From the person I was when I started versus the person that I am now, I really love the person that I am now. I love the things that I've been through, the character that I've built like on the journey. And I wish that for everyone. So I would say I'll do it again, primarily because of what it makes you to become, right? So that's one. And then two, I would say, if I knew what I know now, right? Maybe I was going to think about it.
You would have taken just 2 more seconds.
Maybe I was going to think, maybe I would have stayed in corporate longer. So I'm also very happy that I didn't know. Actually, but I kind of knew a lot about
You were doing coffees and lunches, and people were telling you.
Yeah, and also like growing up, I think like my brother's business was also like a perfect example like of how a startup would go. So yeah, I think I did have like information, and I still
went for it.
But it's not easy. The honest truth, like you have to go through like some things that will sort of like make you ask yourself if you are really made for this or not. So, but for me, it was also that when we go through difficult times, I'm able to go through difficult times without getting a headache, right? So that maybe like helps me to keep going. Like when I feel like when it starts to make you deteriorate emotionally, mentally, maybe, but for me, like I think I like the fact that I can go through like a very, very tough time, and sometimes like, should I not be getting like a headache or something? But
But you still navigate it. You remind me of one of our guests that we had, one of the very first guests that we had sitting where you're sitting, said that entrepreneurship is like a spiritual journey. And I said, hey? And he said, yeah, because then you're going to know God. You're going to see Him.
No, I'll tell you a joke, right? So at this other time I'm at church, and so the pastor says, you know, guys, some of you are praying for promotions and all that, and then God answers with a seed, right?
Yes.
Which is like a business idea.
Yes.
I'm like, yo, hey, pastor, only if you knew. Are you?
Speaking to me directly.
Yeah, because I was like, that's hard. Like, it's easier. God, please just answer with a promotion, not the business
seed,
idea.
yes.
Yeah, it does strain the relationships with your spouse. I think it also strains the relationships with your family.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, when I started the journey, I said to my family, I'm like, guys, when I was in the bank, now I don't have money. Please don't ask me for money.
Now life has changed, and I'm not that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was quite an adjustment actually for my family to get used to the fact that like we can't get money from this guy. But eventually, like, because when I started the business, I didn't really like just study it, and so I took my family through the journey. So for like even like my sister, my nephew, they also like work in the business, so like they can see the entire journey of what we're building, how difficult it is, and so it makes it a bit better.
Those are the four people that you need. See, your family is one of them. They get to go tell your story.
Well, I guess, yeah, but also what I found to be very interesting was investing in my family, right? In investing, so what I tried to do was to help like as many kids as possible in my house to go to school. Obviously, those that wanted to go to school, they did like take it serious.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that, I used to spend money on this kid going to school, but then now they work in the business, right? So it's like a return on investment, but also you're passing the skill set, which I think is like the most important thing. Like, if you can pass the skill set of what it takes to build a business from scratch, if you can leave some of that skill set within the family, I think it's also like something that is very impactful. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about what is exciting you the most about whether entrepreneurship or the fintech space, right? What is the things that you feel like are coming up in that sector that you feel like in the next 5 years, we won't believe it?
What excites me the most? Sure. Okay, so what's exciting? I'll speak to what is exciting me the most now, right? In the in the business. So when you have a business idea, you take that business idea, you transform it into like a tangible thing, like you build the technology and all that. You make a lot of assumptions when you're doing that, because obviously you don't have like a complete set of data or a complete set of information. So then when we launched our solution, right, because that's the moment of truth, right? You're like, hey, I told my investors that this thing is going to work like this and this and this and this, and this is how it's going to help people. Right? And then when we launched, in the beginning, we find it like very difficult, like the product makes sense, right? But then we were battling to find the clients to buy into.
To convince the client,
Yeah, to convince the client. Then I'm like, are we wrong about the product that we're offering, or am I not selling it the right way? Right? To the right customer. But then what started to excite me the most was when you see the business unfolding to what you thought it was gonna be, right? I think for me that's fulfilling. Like we have not really altered much, honestly, like in what we said we were gonna do with, like in the very beginning. Like we're still seeing the same products that we said we're gonna offer, the same impact that we thought those products were gonna have on people. And then maybe like also what is starting to formulate very well, and I think it's gonna formulate like in a very good scale, is the pairing of our rental deposit investment product with our rental deposit funding product, right? Because the idea was, when the idea was, when someone comes in to get money from us,
Yes.
right, to pay for their rental deposit, the same money that we are giving to them, it must be invested with us, right?
Yeah.
It's more like you come and then you say, guys, I need 10,000 rand to pay for my rental deposits.
Yes.
That's the deposit financing part of our business, right? So we're like, no, we are happy to approve you for 10,000 rand. But then that 10,000 rand needs to be invested somewhere, right?
Yes.
That's the investment side of our. So on day one, as a client, you have 10,000 rand asset, which is the deposit, and a 10,000 rand liability.
Yes.
Which and because of that, we started thinking of our rental deposit financing solution as a partly collateralized product, right? In that, if we can use the cash deposit as a bit of collateral to the loan that we are giving to the customer, so we can price it cheaper, right? But most importantly, we can give people an opportunity to get partly collateralized lending rates on something that they never thought that they could do, or actually maybe like on something that they never thought that they could do before, right?
Yes.
So I think now we're also starting to see that formulating like very well, and also like, the interest rate differential and the two, like it's starting to become like very interesting. So I would say maybe just like seeing the business unfold to what we thought it's going to be, I think that's been like very exciting for me at the moment, except that we still need more capital. We still need more money.
I was going to ask you exactly that. I ask a lot of my entrepreneurs, I mean, not all of them, I wish I asked all of them, but I asked many of them, what do you need? What is the support that you need now to get you to the next stage?
So what I'd say, so the next stage of our business is to maybe open up like our products to the rest of the country. I think we do limit our product offering slightly, intentionally, because we try to sort of like manage, we try to avoid having rental deposit financing our products when we don't have enough money to lend, right? So the lending capital has been a lot limiting, actually not a bit, actually a lot limiting in the business. So we are working on long-term funding of our deposit financing book. So I think maybe that's one which is very critical. And will be very exciting once we finally resolve it.
Yes.
And then number two, I would say, I would say we need the team to keep doing what they're doing, right? Because I think we are in the right track, and also maybe for myself to keep maybe the energy that I've been keeping in the business. So that has been like very critical. It is critical to get us to the next stage. What else would I say? Working capital, obviously. So if we can get more working capital, we can do some of the stuff that we're currently doing much faster. So that's also like critical. So if we can get like maybe, lending capital, more lending capital and more working capital would be on our way to maybe like some really even more exciting times. I think in the
so, ladies and gentlemen, GraceNineteen needs funds, basically.
Actually,
across the board, basically at every level of their business, for them to get to where they want, for them to be able to give you this on the continent and spread it on the African continent and abroad. It's money.
Like if we can get like enough access to lending capital, we can maybe lend to more people. We also seeing now, so when we started, we thought we were going to offer the solution only in the residential space, but we also now starting to see some commercial. So some of the clients that we have, the buildings that they own, they've got shops on the ground floor. So that's sort of like starting to give us like exposure into the commercial space. So I think there is an opportunity for us to also play in the commercial space. So I think that's maybe also interesting for us.
So the market itself is opening up new doors that you would not. Give us your details. Where can people get hold of you?
So our website, grace19.com. Also Instagram, I think it's grace19_official.
Yes.
The same with TikTok, I think it's grace19_official. And then on X also, I think it's the same, yeah. But yeah, on our website, we also have a WhatsApp number, so you can just send us a WhatsApp chat, which is what most people do. So.
Amazing stuff. Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, GraceNineteen.
Oh, thank you.
It's done. Thank you, sir.
No, thank you. Sarah,
You can breathe now.